Hey everyone, it's Lindsay Baker, and I'm here today on the Action Hour with Dana Yarger, and he is here to tell us about an amazingly exciting event called the Elephant Parade. And Dana is the exhibition curator, as well as being a longtime art industry veteran. He's done so many things. He's run galleries and owned them. He's an art publisher. He's an art collector. He's an art curator. And he's a noted trainer of the psychology of art acquisition, the whole process of that. We're going to get into that later. But first, we want to talk about this amazing event that's coming up called California Dreamin. Dana, thank you for being here. And can you take it away and tell us a little bit more about this?
I'm delighted, and good morning to you and good morning to everyone. I will tell you that Elephant Parade is not just a verb or a noun. It's actually a company. It's a socially responsible company based in the Netherlands, and it has produced these public art events involving painted elephant baby-sized sculptures in 20 countries and 40 cities over the past 15 years. And Dana Point is hosting this the second time, and the only place in North America that has hosted the event. There are.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say there's sort of the people are the parade. The elephants aren't paraded around. They are in sometimes hard to find, sometimes easy to locate, walking distance around the downtown and harbor area of Dana Point, California.
Well, that's what makes it so exciting. You know, when I was just talking to you off camera, I was saying I was looking for where am I going to send these people, but you said it's the Lantern District. Is that correct? Did I hear correctly? Correct. And that's where the majority are, but you really do have to walk around that whole area. And what a wonderful thing to do around the holidays. I mean, what could be more fun? And to think that you're raising awareness, bringing people there with you, bringing friends, bringing guests from out of town, be raising awareness about, you know, not only Dana Point, but this amazing exhibition that helps animal conservation, elephant conservation, particularly the elephants of Asia, which we know are very much in danger of going into extinction and are very cruelly under attack by man, due to lack of knowledge, due to lack of resources. And luckily there's a lot of organizations that are helping with that. We're going to get into all that started, but tell us a little bit more about the exhibit.
Okay, one thing, thank you. That goes back into it. Your enthusiasm to come during the holidays. Actually, this is supposed to be a touring herd, and it's only here to the end of November. And then it's supposed to go to another city. So we're looking for other cities to host this exhibition, you know, in the coming months and actually the coming years.
So cities, they're actively looking for more cities to want to do this. I would think it would be a win-win for the city.
It's amazing the amount of attraction that it gets. It's not only the conservation, but, you know, it's great family entertainment. It's so fun seeing, you know, 3, 4, 5-year-old children trying to pronounce the word elephant and the excitement that they get from seeing him. So it is a multi-generational experience, and it just opens people's minds to what's this elephant situation all about in an inviting way without being a confrontational way.
You know, I would think LA would be a phenomenal place to have it in the Grove, the main exhibit in the Grove, and then all throughout West Hollywood. And Hollywood would be an amazing place. What a tourist, probably West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, because a lot of tourists, you know, go to look for celebrity homes. But that brings up another point. A lot of celebrities are involved in not only in the conservation end of the work that Elephant Parade does, and that's a registered company. It's not, we want to emphasize that it's not a nonprofit. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Elephant Parade, when it started, I mean, you really have to go back to its roots of well-meaning people, you know, well-meaning people. 2 guys were visiting an elephant hospital in Thailand about 16 years ago. And people don't know, I mean, the Asian elephant is a working animal like an ox or a horse. It's not just in the wild for centuries. And the day they were there, the veterinarians brought in a baby elephant that had stepped on a landmine. And the horror of that inspired them to raise funds for a prosthetic leg for Moshe, which means star. And Moshe now, over the years, has had to have several surgeries with additional prosthetic legs. There is a documentary film called Eyes of Thailand, narrated by Ashley Judd, that's probably 12 or so years ago, that documented this whole affair. So what they learned, though, is that there's so many needs in wildlife support and elephant support, from caring for the animals, caring for the communities, so much. That Elephant Parade then, probably 5 or so years ago, took the more conservative approach for themselves and said they will stick to the business of engaging, educating, and entertaining by having these public art exhibitions out in the streets, because people don't necessarily want to read all the bad news. So they come to the story through some fun, interesting, good news, through celebrity leadership and important artists and school groups. In Dana Point, in our first exhibition, we had 2,000 fifth graders participate in an educational program. And I joked that they learned that Sumatra was a place and not just a coffee. But now these fifth grade, now it's 8 years later that we're returning this encore presentation. So it's quite a learning experience. So Elephant Parade, to be most direct, and I know that's a major issue, like, are people doing things that really help? And how much do they help? And Elephant Parade takes the position that they are in the engaging, entertaining aspect, but they do provide, as a social responsible company, 20% of their worldwide net operating toward a variety of elephant welfare projects. But also, instead of getting involved in negotiating between the critical needs among various groups, they give funds to Elephant Family. It is a UK-based Asian foundation organization headed by Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles, with a long list of celebrity and worldwide influencers.
I believe this is the website which I just discovered with you when you told me about it today. So let's just explore for a moment. Let me get back to the right one here. Here we go. Some of the projects in conservation they're doing. It looks like they're doing a lot in conservation. Let's see if we can get a click in here. Yes, and this is bringing up a great point here. Asia's last remaining great forests are amongst the most biodiverse in the world, home to orangutan, giant hornbills, tigers, and Asiatic elephants. And all of this is being threatened. And the elephants are being threatened in so many ways. They're being threatened. Let's talk about that for a moment, because some people that are tuning in may not know how important it is for us to help them. How they're called, actually, they're called gardeners.
Yeah, I love that expression.
Don't you love that?
Yeah. Because
they do so much. They're so integral to the environment, and when they move through the jungle and through the knocking down trees and breaking bushes, it looks like they're trampling, but actually what they're doing is building paths for other animals to travel through. So of course, as we know back from the Lion King movie, it's all one big ecosystem that works when we leave it alone. Yeah. And unfortunately, the elephants are under attack. Did you want to talk about that for a moment, and how you got into this subject?
I like to share the part about being the gardener a little bit more for especially young people, well, adults that don't think about it either. You know, there's no question that the way of saving the Asian elephant is corridors between jungle areas through the cultivated areas that have been turned into palm groves. So the loss of the Asian elephant is because of the loss of habitat, not so much the ivory. That's predominantly African. But being the world's gardener is not just they make the paths, but when they knock down the trees, it looks like a destruction. But what happens is the bugs that get turned up off the soil are then eaten by the birds. The elephants eat tons of vegetation in their tramplings, and they get processed through their stomach, and it comes out the other end, and so it fertilizes the next 20 miles of jungle, and then whatever the nature does to the birds and the other animals and the whole chain. So it is reported that the Asian elephant is only 2 generations away from not being able to recover. There's reportedly 50,000 elephants. It seems like a big number. but it's all the way from South India all the way through Indonesia, whereas, but it's critical in Africa as well, whereas in Botswana, the country alone, has a problem. They have 130,000 elephants in just one country.
Wow, that's really interesting. Well, I've heard that before, but I think a lot of people are not aware of those numbers and the significance of them. And as you say, the significance of the elephant within the ecological system that they live. And I think I want to talk a little bit about the Elephant Parade California Dreamin that is taking place right now. For people, by the way, for those of you just tuning in, I want to tell you that I am here today with Dana Yarger, who is the curator of this phenomenal show. Am I using the right word again? I might be using the wrong word again. Yeah, exhibition curator, that's right. Of this phenomenal show that is unorthodox in a certain way. Well, it's kind of street art, right? Because, and it's, you interact with it, which is phenomenal. And let's see if we have any pictures here. We certainly do. Here we go. Excellent example of the benefits of it. Let's talk about that. But I just want to tell people that if you want to go and see this exhibit, if you're just tuning in, it's going on right now in Dana Point. And tell them the dates that will be available, Dana, in Dana Point.
It's right now. In fact, it installed a few elephants at a time, like wandering into positions over the past week. There's actually one or two more that we're waiting for the final approval. There's technical things of where you get approvals to put these. But it runs now through November 26th. Obviously, since it's out in the public, you can see it 24 hours. It's sometimes a little dark, but I do know people enjoy walking around the beautiful Dana Point Harbor. I know a lot of people don't know where Dana Point is. It's south of Laguna Beach, halfway between LA and San Diego.
Yeah. So it's kind of on your right to San Diego, super close. But it's a great place to come for the weekend or for the night or however it works out for you.
We've got thousands of hotel rooms, great 5-star, 4-star resorts and family resorts as well as the Doheny State Beach as a camping area. And Doheny Beach is made famous, I guess, by the Beach Boys song, but that's close by also. And I need to offer, this is not just about the elephants. This is about wildlife in total.
Yes.
Dana Point, two very, very wise women canvassed the world and was able to get Dana Point to be named the dolphin and whale watching capital of the world. It is a trademark. It is also the only whale heritage site in North America. So there's a lot to do besides coming and seeing these beautiful sculptures on the street and take hundreds of pictures.
What is whale heritage, what you were just speaking? Go into that in more detail. I think that's very interesting. And we want to show your wife's, what's it called? Sorry.
Cedar Point. She called the elephant.
Yeah, the elephant that she painted. Her painting of the elephant, because it ties the dolphin in. Excuse me, I'm having a senior moment there.
Yeah, I share that. No, so the heritage site is, the United Nations designates certain areas of the world as critical for historical, protective, environmental reasons. And we have a very, very unique geography between here and Catalina Island. Apparently there's I have not seen a 200-foot drop off, which becomes then a sanctuary for a lot of sea life and marine life, which helps regenerate. That's why there's hundreds of dolphins to see in the little cruise over to Catalina. And this unique, it's a pathway for whales for generations.
That's great.
From Mexico to Alaska.
Yeah, we're having some comments from our viewers, and San Wincup says, please make sure the message is out there, not to ride. Yeah, Refuse to Ride is a campaign Wildlife SOS put together, and other organizations have the same message. Do not ride elephants. Do not participate in any elephant entertainment or any wildlife entertainment brought in, circuses, zoos, etc. Either at festivals here or on vacation in Thailand or anywhere in Asia. We absolutely, Jane on Chain, we absolutely agree with that statement.
And let me support it even further, that we have signs on even these painted elephant sculptures: do not touch, do not sit. It is part of our program. And that's part of the additional reason why Elephant Parade, I think, has been successful or found its niche in helping raise funds, is that the more people of like mind like this can do to help in other ways rather than the commercialization of the elephants in zoos and the commercialization of riding, that all should be in the past. And we are definitely anti those kind of programs, personally, corporately, as well as elephant family.
Dana, I'm going to want to get into each of the elephant paintings and talk about them in a moment. We have plenty of time left. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about your background before you got into the arts. That's my first question, and I'll hold my second question for you, but it relates to getting into the arts. So go ahead.
Well, it was serendipitous, I guess. I was environmental scientist, environmental engineer in Wisconsin. I was appointed to the National Committee on Water Quality. I wrote part of the platform for the first Earth Day way back in April, whatever that was, in the area of solid waste management and groundwater. But as a technical person traveling the country, I actually worked on the foundation of the Environmental Protection Agency. So I was not out in animal care and husbandry specific, but in the area of caring about the environment and the interaction of everything in total. While doing that, I was in the major cities, and I just coincidentally walked into an art gallery and discovered an attraction to art. And a few years later, I opened a gallery, and then it was cold in Wisconsin, so I moved to California and opened 8 galleries. San Francisco, Laguna, San Diego, et cetera. And that's obviously a long time ago. That was in the 1980s. But I saw through that art, we used to say that buying a piece of art instead of another colored television changed the person. And we've experienced that over, well, now I'm in my 5th decade, I guess, of being in the art world. So that was just how it came about. But in that process, you meet a lot of people and you learn a lot of a point of view, all the way from the people who say, I don't know art, but I know what I like. Well, sometimes there's an educational process to learn that there might be things you don't know that you might like if you get to know it. And on the other side, in the art world, outside of this, during the pandemic, we held an exhibition in Dana Point a year or so ago where 20 artists were invited to create an artwork, and it was called Art Help for Heroes. And the artists created the artwork, and the proceeds went to Mission Hospital. But it was a multifunctional approach because the artists too needed a chance to express themselves when they were shut in. So we do kind of look at the art as a global perspective.
Yes, and as you say, it's a way to communicate a message that is not threatening. Non-threatening, it really appeals more to the child in us, the creative person in us, the compassionate person in us. So that's a good segue into checking out some of these works of art, these painted elephants. And while we're going through that, maybe you can answer my second question. Let's look at this one first, and then I'll ask my second question. We'll come back to look at more. So can you tell us who painted this elephant and the story behind it?
Yeah, it's Steve Adam, who over the past half decade or so has grown to be a very influential local and Laguna Beach artist. He has one of the most unique galleries in Laguna Beach. It's only about 8 feet wide, and maybe not even 8 feet, maybe 6 feet wide, right on Pacific Coast Highway, just south of the downtown. And this is kind of a minimalist style. What he also did on the other side of it, he put the coordinates of Dana Point in the code of latitude and longitude. So it's obviously its abstract form, and he titled the piece Cali, C-A-L-I.
Oh, wow.
And really? Each one of this elephant is basically 5 feet high, 5 feet long, about 30 inches wide. It can go through most homes' doors. People do own these privately in their interior as well. But to say also, people say, well, what about the trunk up on elephants? That's good fortune. Well, go back to the history. It's like if you could, capture an elephant. You live in the jungle, you capture an elephant, and you train it to be part of your working family. You train it so that the trunk will lift up to get it to ride and to lift the logs and to do the work. So I believe the history of it is not good luck. Comes from good fortune.
Ah, you're going to make me throw away so many. Right behind me, I have one with the longest. I've got to show this. That's how much the elephant is imbued in our life. I have tons of.
Well, that's a little different. That's when okay, there's many metaphors in that, but it's how the elephants call, their herd together and or warn, when they flap their ears and the trunk goes straight up. But I'm talking about the models that you see sometimes where all the trunk is just curled up a little bit. These elephants are all modeled after that elephant motion we spoke about before, which was a baby elephant. So if you've ever seen a baby elephant in the videos, their trunk is flopping around all the time. So there are many other feng shui meanings of elephants, you know better than I: wisdom, family, honor, loyalty, etc.
There's Moshe.
There's Moshe. So in every one of the parades around the world, there's always the emissary of Moshe with a cast on her foot. That helps tell the story. That opens it. Why is it there? That gets to tell the story of how she recovered, gets to tell the story of the elephants in the jungle, and gets to tell the story of the Asian elephant, particularly, being nearly extinct.
I want to just stop on that for a moment. Now, her foot was blown off by a landmine, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the question comes up, are the landmines there because there's a little war going on in there, or are the landmines there to blow up the elephants?
Neither. I thought the same thing when I first learned 10 or so years ago. I thought, Vietnam still landmine? No. Myanmar, or how it's pronounced, or Burma, they still have a lot of natural resource jungle. So they plant the landmines as border territory. So people can't come from the stripped down Thailand area where there's no trees left, go over and harvest trees in Myanmar. So conversely, in Myanmar, there are 2,800, I don't know if the statistic is current, working animals working in the jungle in Myanmar in the forestry business.
And I've learned from interviewing Gentle Giants nonprofit, Wildlife SOS, Save the Asian Elephant, the horrific cruelty involved in the logging industry. And these animals suffer from the moment they're like babies, knee high to us. Indeed, bringing back to what we were talking about, looking at the paintings, I want to call them sculptures. That's the impression I got when I looked at it. It's a baby elephant with their trunk curl, happy baby elephant. That's what I saw in the image. And that's what we love seeing, and that's why it's so important. The work you're doing, the work that Elephant Parade is doing is so important.
You want to put that one back up again? It has this kind of a unique story. It's called Mellowfont. And if anybody remembers the movie The Big Lebowski, the character is the dude. So artists, when they come to create on the elephant sculpture, they come with all sorts of vision and way to invite people into it. But here is Jeff Bridges with his sunglasses on, with a bowling ball, wearing his robe and his headphones on, etc. And it was designed by a guy, an American who lives in Thailand, Oliver Benjamin. And he started the world's slowest growing religion called Dudism. It's hilarious. So, yeah. So anyways.
That's very interesting, though. That is they're all amazing. We're going to look at all of them because we have time to do that. But you threw me off here for a moment in the direction we were going. I was talking about the baby elephants and how, helping them. And it's so important for us to save the Asian elephant. They are remarkable beings. I know we were talking, the second question that I had for you was, we were talking about how you segued from being in the field, more of a scientific end of it, environmentally, and then moving into the art part of it and utilizing that to make the environment better, to help the elephants. And there are many people out there. So here's the question coming.
Okay.
There are many people out there that are artists, that are musicians, and the starving artist syndrome kind of thing. Could you maybe address for people a little bit of how your path, how you went that path and kind of was able to turn it into something that's a viable way for you to make a living and for also to do good while you're making a living? Because I think that's what a lot of people want to do.
Okay, I would hope we've done well. We've done well by doing good. It's a phrase we like. We've given opportunities to a lot of people. Some people share them. I've worked with artists who were street artists, who we helped them grow to being world renowned, from Sao Paulo, Brazil, to Beijing, to Cairo. I like to say that you can help a few, but that few can help others by finding a path. The psychology of working with art, there's many levels of artists as well, right? There are many that paint to sell, and many that just sell so they can keep painting. And the art world is kind of an oxymoron in a way. And if you talk about the business side, because it's not a simple and clear path, but you just have to keep trying. That's the best advice I could give you, and ask for that. But art over the years, you know it as well, that it was dropped from curriculum. Music and art was dropped years ago. Now we're finding that they probably shouldn't have dropped the civics courses either, because people don't understand the Constitution. There's a lot of recovery that we need in many ways. And I believe, as this is an interesting segue, as you offered, the elephants being on the street brings people to a conversation. What is that? And that is the best way of any kind of learning, whether we're talking about the Constitution or the environment or economics or politics. We have to be able to communicate. And these works out on the streets just bring people together.
Yeah, and this one, here's some of the benefits. We're back to this slide. Attracts more public visitors to the venue, gains regional attention, wider marketing footprint, generates more publicity offline and online, social media boosts through unique multiple visitor generated selfie spots, creates smiles, creates enduring community goodwill and sponsor appreciation, presents a unique experience for visitors. Absolutely. Perfect marketing and expanding reach. Marketing that doesn't harm or it does something good. Strengthens the relationship with retailers, inspires consumers, creates environmental awareness for multiple issues. Absolutely. I mean, all of the above. And it's fun. We don't want to leave that out.
I think that's what Elephant Parade learned along the way, from starting just to try to raise some money for Moshe and the Asian Elephant Hospital. And as it continued to grow, everybody discovered, wow, there's some other things that are happening that, we didn't. There was no business school plan that was set down to figure out how to use elephant sculptures to generate all this. It's that the honesty of bringing the elephant story out is what brought people to the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go through each of them and just briefly talk about the artist. Now, we did the first one. We're on the second one here.
I guess all artists are saying, but sometimes some are a very interesting lady, Chiria Bissonnette. She is, shall we say, an emerging artist. She's also a stand-up comedian. She had a great presentation. Everybody's heard of TED Talks, but there's another kind of women's only platform called Sue Talks. She gave a presentation on that maybe a decade ago about how her life has evolved. She's very expressionistic, quite spiritual. Those little things on the very top are actually koi fish. So it's just a wild, colorful decoration. But she titled it Mahua. Some artists give a bit, like me, too long of an explanation sometimes of what it might mean. But she just said, this is a spiritual elephant that saves other elephants.
Wow. Well, that says it all, doesn't it?
Keeps it simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly beautiful, the artist statement. Okay, next in line here. Let's talk about the next one.
Robin HIERS, Hires, a local artist who's become pretty well known around Southern California for this very unique live in life at the beach in the sun, kind of unique iconography, unique imagery that she uses, but it's mostly just living at the beach. And of course, these elephants are painted all the way around. They're not duplicated, on the same on each side. So when you come and see it, you'll discover. And she gives tribute to Dana Point and Laguna Beach and the Strands Beach on it. Her works can be seen in one of the top galleries in Laguna Beach.
Yeah, I was going to say that the experience of being there, and I have a degree. I have 2 degrees in art, and I taught design for years.
I should be listening then instead of speaking.
No, not at all. But this is great conversation. I feel very at home in it. But my point was that just kind of like giving each of these artists the opportunity to do their own version of the story, it brings so much more enrichment to the story itself. And giving the artist these opportunities is so key. It's a win-win for everyone.
These elephants become world famous. I will tell you that since Dana Point hosted the exhibition in 2013, and after Dana Point, the project went to Hong Kong, and then it went to Shanghai, then Taiwan, then 3 cities in mainland China, then back to a whole tour of the United Kingdom, then a few other spots, then Brazil, including Rio, 3 cities in Brazil, Spain, France, recently in Luxembourg, Dubai. I lived in Dubai, and in a souk in Dubai, probably 5 years ago, someone sent me a picture listing all the cities, London, Singapore, Antwerp, Amsterdam, Dana Point was all on this list in all these cities all over the world. So the elephant stand and the design by these artists are seen throughout the world.
Let's go to the next one, because I still want to go back to Elephant Parade and talk about what you can purchase for yourself and a little bit more. So all of the elephants, though, are 5 foot tall. Is that true?
Correct.
On the exhibit?
Correct.
Yeah.
They're about 5 feet tall, 5 feet long, and I don't know if they designed it this way when they first made their first casting, but they're about 28 or 30 inches wide, so they conveniently fit through people's home front door. I don't think they had that in mind, or maybe they learned along the way. But this is an interesting evolution for this. Mm-hmm. I find all the artworks very interesting. I find this one somewhat beautiful, actually, just being so fully abstract. I say the artist channeled Hans Hofmann, the abstract expressionist, but the young woman that did this never heard of him. This was a young woman who had it's by Taya Bueller Reagan. And she had just graduated from college back east. She moved home because of the pandemic, couldn't get a job, couldn't live anywhere. And I had a blank elephant in storage. And the parents and I kind of wanted to give her a challenge to do something. So this was totally random. She worked on it, during the shutdown period, not particularly a destination, also with the thought that, and she's not a professional artist, but also with the thought that if just for fun, go ahead and paint it. And when I take it back for the parade, I might have to overpaint it. And when I saw it, I said, no, it's so honest. It's so sincere of a person who just did it because to me, there's just a lot of love on it and in it. And then as a recent college grad, she called it Rainbow. And she gave a statement about how it's the darkness and the gray that gives you the chance to see the colors. So, and it's in their family's front yard, just 1 block off of the main parade of Elephant Parade in Dana Point.
Oh, that's nice that her family could share the experience of it showcasing. That's awesome. The one thing that struck me when I saw it is the color, of course, and it reminded me of an impressionist like Cézanne or one of the postmodern impressionists, because of the way she's juxtaposing colors and stuff, which is pretty interesting. But let's move on to the next one. So this one brings us to the point that a lot of celebs are involved within this project, or this the Elephant Parade enterprise.
I see a question at the bottom here from Tom Vencil.
Yes, let's address that too.
And tell him to call me. Anyway, so here's a situation. Lily Tomlin, this was done in 2012 to 2013. Oh, excuse me, I have to correct myself. It's Taya, not Taya. Taya Bueller Reagan. Anyway, Lily had just finished a documentary film about saving elephants. And through a colleague and a friend we had in LA, we were able to reach out to her. And we said we'd like her to paint one. She said no. But she said that we could borrow her character, which was Ernestine. If any of people are old enough to remember, the one ringy dingy, she was a telephone operator.
Yes.
So Erin Boyle, who is another local artist, took that character and created this very unique creation, not only tribute to Lily and the character, but those lines that come out of the telephone switchboard wrap around the other side like they're on telephone poles. And then the lines also create the shape of a family of elephants. And the title of the piece is Anyone Listening?
Wow.
So there's, it's one thing, hey, it's beautiful, it's cute, who's this character? But in each case, the artist comes up with a very interesting story.
Yeah, I think that's the great part of it. Now, could you give us an idea of what purchase one of the large one? Are you allowed to talk about that?
I will tell you that many have been purchased. These are at the moment not for sale. We'll get to that one in a second. I will tell you, in our auction in 2013 in Little Dana Point, most of them sold in the $10,000 and $15,000, $20,000 range. One sold for $100,000, and it's in a private home up on a hill here. The highest price so far was one in London, a very famous artist who paints butlers, and there's a butler, unfortunately, riding on an elephant. That sold for $180,000. But typically, what Elephant Parade, the entity in the Netherlands, has done over the past decade is that instead of the burden of trying to sell them all each time, they've created the concept of a traveling herd, such that they can continue the inspiration from city to city, selling a few, we've got to pay the bills, but moving the herd from city to city such that it's already ready to go. Yesterday morning, I got a call. Well, the call came from Miami to the office in the Netherlands to me to see if we could get the herd to Miami by November 30th. I don't know if we can do it that quickly. But if, as you might know, Miami, the first week of December every year, is the biggest aggregation of art people in the world. 28 concurrent art fairs all at the same time. So wow. That's how these things go. So, but anyway, if one is thinking, start a conversation at 15,000 probably.
15,000. Okay. Well, most people can't afford that. We'll get into, there are some alternatives for people that do want to collect as well. But Tom, now just let's stop on this. I did want to take this a little bit further for Tom himself. If one of my viewers are serious about getting it to their city, how would they go about that? Who would they contact? Or what would your recommendation be?
Well, they can always contact elephantparade.com, the contact site. That's the office in the Netherlands. And they are the worldwide control. They could email me directly. I use Elephant Parade USA at yahoo.com to try to keep all my elephant. That's the host gallery that actually has funded this exhibition. But Elephant Parade USA at yahoo.com if one is really interested in trying to bring the project to their city. Okay,
what we'll do is we'll put that in the link in the comments for those who want. We can put that at the top. We'll post it at the top so it's locked there. Okay, let's go back to our viewing of these. And we stopped on this one. You want to tell us about this one?
It was a surprise. This again was done in 2013 by Khloe Kardashian. And
oh, wow.
I delivered it to her home at the time in Encino, and we have pictures of her. She painted it in her garage. And, as perhaps if anyone has followed the Kardashians recently, they have all changed a little bit too. Her persona has changed, but it was a great gesture on her part to have painted this. And she called it Jasmine. And you can see, if you think back, I have sons, so I didn't really follow the Kardashians. But I recall that Chloe used to wear headbands a lot. So she put these sparklies, diamond-like things and on a headband on it, and glitter all over the top of the back. And that's right in the Lantern District. You can drive by and see it, or go take your picture with it.
Oh, nice. That would be fun, taking pictures of all of these amazing artworks. And we talked about this one already, so for the sake of time, so we can cover more about this, we'll move on to the next.
This is, it's called Mr. Liberty, was one of the titles of it. And it's an LA artist, Sona Mirzai. But it was also something that happened. We try to involve celebrities as well. And many might remember, many might know the actor Daniel Benzali. And we created an event here during the exhibition where Daniel came down. He had just finished a stage play called Red, which was Willem de Kooning. No. Help me out here. I'll think of it. Not Willem. Anyway, so we had Daniel and Sona create this one together as a collaboration.
Nice.
You can look up Sona. She's pretty well known around the LA area.
Great. Okay, and we've got a few more here. The next one was the one that I told you, and I didn't know anything about it. The one that struck me the most. Maybe part of it is because there's been so much awareness recently due to the movie Seaspiracy that came out, 6 months ago. And this happens to have been done by your wife. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, Laura Seeley is also a New York Times bestselling children's book author and illustrator, and very comprehensive in her illustrations in her books, are sometimes called cinematographic. But this one was actually kind of the feature of the exhibition in Dana Point, because of Dana Point's reputation of being a whale and dolphin community. So she incorporated it. So she kind of married the two, the world's largest land mammal with the world's largest ocean mammal, with the dolphins and the whales on it, called See the Point, SEA, play on words. But on the reverse side of it, there's a long poem, being that she's a writer and author. There's a whole inspirational story, many, many verses written into the composition. You have to come down and see it and read it.
I was going to say, as is the case with all of these, you do not get the feeling. I did have the opportunity at a recent Free Billy protest that you were there. That's how I met you, in Griffith Park. And I was able to see the Lily Tomlin elephant, or Ernestine, I should say, right? And I was putting my hand in there. So if anybody has not seen Ernestine, by the way, just go to the comedy channels. They play Laugh-In, it's called Laugh-In the Show, where she did that character. So yeah, if anyone's not seen that, you have to see that. So yeah, so tell us a little bit more about your wife's work too. Is she involved in conservation kind of theme stuff, or what's her children's books?
I would say an hour at least every day. She's on the internet signing animal welfare petitions. I say, are you sure you should be doing that? But no, she is very much of an animal activist. Her comments about people that do harm to animals at any level would be construed as murder, I'm sure. She's very, very concerned about that. And her children's book, she's a big cat person. Her children's books have a lot to do with the relationship between inspirational things between animals, and the dogs and the cats and things like that. So, but they're very comprehensive. It's when books were really solid things rather than the kind of little ones you get at the grocery store now.
I love that. I love that so much. And I wish you had sent me. We'll have to have you back on again and bring some more of this information with you. We like to make sure the word gets out to people. And we want to talk about the store, but let's finish up with so we saw Moshe, and we know how important she is to this whole I mean, look how many lives she's saved and helped, elephants she's helped just by going through the suffering that she went through, but she was able to become such a inspiration to all of us to take a moment and stop and say, hey, what are we doing? How much do we really need of consumerism?
Well, it's another thing. It was not planned this way, but having elephants. I mean, cities have done other things, right? Chicago did cows. I think Pittsburgh did pigs. They've done salmon. They've done moose, etc. There's something about these elephants. I mean, they're all entertaining, all engaging, and all support this thing. But we are inspired. This elephant parade entity in the Netherlands is really inspiring a whole multi-generation, new generation of people to discover. You know, the little kids aren't going to see any live elephants, right? They're not in zoos.
We hope that's not true.
Well,
they wouldn't see them. We wouldn't want them going into a place where they could observe them one-on-one. But well, we hope that they'll have animatics and all kinds of visual effects.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I mean, but that's a whole other thing. You can go to a sanctuary and see them, but in their environment, if they want to come up to you, not because they're there to entertain you, which is a whole different way of looking at it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But, oh gosh, there's so many things as you're talking, questions are flying through. And today, for the first time, I don't have a pad. So I'm like, I have another question, but we'll get around to it. We still have a little bit of time left. So I think we talked about Moshe, and then this one. How about this one?
Another very, very interesting artist. He's also a musician and a performer. This one is Thomas Clark. And again, a local artist. But he's known all over the country. He's one of these, he's a tall guy, a big guy, big hair, total artist profile. And he does these like 12 by 20 foot murals. You can do them in, 2 or 3 hours at big corporate entertainment, but really engaging fellow. And this one, it has kelp balls on it. It has starfish. It has on the rear octopus or octopi, whatever on it. And it's interesting, though, that one thing to decorate, I guess that's a conch shell or something, I don't know, but it's he called it weightless. And now he shares with us the fact that actually people don't think elephants are very good swimmers. And his narrative, we'll have to look it up. He explains the importance of looking at elephants and thinking of them in the wild, and thinking of their attributes besides just being this painted sculpture.
Yes. And, you hit on a point a couple of times in our conversation that I want to go back to when you made the connection between the dolphins and the elephants, and the fact that, yes, I have seen, in fact, in London, I saw the horse exhibit that I thought was amazing, working animals. But there's something about the elephants that are just, there's another side, maybe a spiritual aspect to it, that even if you're not considering yourself spiritual or religious, you connect with somehow as a human being, that they're so sentient, so intelligent. And I think that's the part of it that is very interesting, that this sentient animal gets treated so poorly by human beings. And it's just
I'll share a personal story. My youngest son went with me to Thailand. I don't know, he's probably 25 years old at the time, to visit Moshe. And he's a 6'5", healthy athlete, worldly guy. He sees Moshe and he just broke down in tears. There was just an instant connection about, Moshe is recovering, but just this, you look in the eye, it's like the whales too. If you look if you're in these cruises, these charters, and you get close to whales' eyes, there's something in there. Same thing with the elephants.
Yeah. And we say that about pigs too. When you go to the pig vigils and look in their eyes, they're very much like us. What amount of our DNA is exactly the same? It's a lot. Anyway, that's a whole other subject for another day. We do want to cover a couple more things here. Now, Christmas is coming. It's a great time for gift giving, and not everybody can buy their family and friends a $15,000 gift. But there's another way around that, isn't there? So let's talk about that. People can get, now, would they be able to get replicas of this particular show or exhibit, or just
There are replicas from several of the elephants in this exhibition. Yes.
Great, great.
There are, and the ones I just showed you, like See the Point, for instance, and a few others. Actually, here's one that has been decorated additionally, if it's in the camera, I don't know. This is the one Khloe Kardashian did in a small version.
Oh, can you just hold it with your one hand from the back?
Okay.
Yeah, just, oh, like that's great too. And pull it right up to the camera a little more. Let me get you on the single here. That would help too. Oh, it's lovely.
So, and they come, I mean, it's a total company. They come in a display box with a certificate and a little story about Moshe and saving the elephant. So again, it might just be a novel thing to have on the table, but when people ask what is it about, and again, it continues the learning experience. Then what we received just last week in starting, there you go, in starting the, you can order elephants right from Elephant Parade. They'd be shipped from the Netherlands. We have the pop-up in Dana Point, in Gallery Dana Bay, several elephants that range from $60 to $400 that are actually hand-painted replicas of the elephants. There's a selection from elephants from all over the world. The ones I have here on the table, one was from a traveling herd in Asia, one was from London, one was from Switzerland, and one was from Brazil. So all unique designs. In some ways, there's too much to choose from, but there's not a lot of them. I'm not saying, you know, the quantity is, shall we say, maybe we only have 100 or so of these unique items.
Yeah. And wow, the price is, so that's in US dollars. What would that be?
These on the website are priced in dollars. They're not priced in euros.
Oh, okay.
So it's about the same here. I think, you know, honestly, ours might be a couple dollars more to cover the shipping.
Oh, wow.
To get them from
So we want people to go to Dana Point, but we just want to kind of show them what they can get when they go there. So they would be getting the replicas of this parade, which I can go through. These lovely guys. So you could pick the one that you like.
Some of those, but there are several others. We have replicas. Some of these we don't.
So you got to go and see what's what. Yeah, you got to come and see what's what. And what a great day. You could spend the day with your family, go to a nice restaurant, and then pick out some Christmas gifts.
There's one novel thing I want to share. Novel thing I want to share, and that is a woman from, can you see this? This little.
Let me bring you back on full screen here.
I shouldn't do by the ears.
No.
This is a project. It's been on Good Morning America. This is a woman from Santa Barbara. It's called the Elephant Project. Christina McKean. And she was here visiting yesterday, supported by one of our other partners. So you go online and find these also. But I bought a bunch of them. They're so cute. So they'll be in the gallery.
Now, what are these? Explain what you get with that.
Well, it is
a little hard to see.
Cute little. She used to be a product designer for the Gap, but she retired from that industry, and she's taken this passion.
Can you switch her around? Let's see her back.
I'm not so good at this.
That's fine. We know.
There's a little boy one and a little girl
one.
They're $40, and all of her proceeds go to support her elephant project. I think it's elephantproject.com, but you can Google her.
I'm going to have her on the show.
I think you should. She's very good at what she does.
We want to help everyone that's helping the environment, helping animals. I want to help people anyway. I love helping people. I find that's, the most rewarding. And plus you get so much back when you're not even looking to get anything back. You know what I mean? In other ways, you're not expecting things happen for you that are amazing. And this show is just very exciting. And we're down to only 6 minutes left, believe it or not. So what did we not cover? I think we could go into a little bit more the charity organization and some of the people involved. We didn't go into that. Do you want to talk about that for a couple of minutes?
I think maybe it was before we went on camera. Elephant Parade decided somewhere in its 15 years of existence to stay in its own lane of producing these public events that creates engagement, entertainment, education, inspiration. And part of its funds part of its worldwide operating funds go to several elephant organizations, but they don't get directly into the management. They leave that to the professionals. And so what they do is they provide funds to Elephant Family. It's elephant-family.org. And that is, I understand it to be the world's largest NGO supporting elephant family, elephant welfare, primarily Asian. It was originally founded by Mark Shan, tragically passed away a few years ago, who was Camilla Parker Bowles' brother. So it is headed honorary by Prince Charles and Camilla. And the number of people that support this using both their economic power and their social power support this particular organization. And Elephant Parade in Netherlands is happy to be one of the supporters of Elephant Family.
That is wonderful to hear. That's very exciting. And of course, the acronym you used, NGO, that's the nonprofit.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the global non-governmental organization. I think in the U.S. we refer to a nonprofit or a 501c3. They do have. Oh, that's right. I'll have to tell you. They do have a U.S. 501c3 for if people want to make a contribution and get the tax benefits in the U.S. They don't have to send the money to London.
Yeah. So, wow, there's so many ways that you can get involved in this. You can try and bring it to your city, which would be an amazing project for someone, maybe a school. That would be an amazing project for someone to bring into a school and build that community of students that would work on bringing the elephant exhibition to their city. And then all of the community coming together in that city based on goodwill, learning to be compassionate, more compassionate, helping others, things like that. It's just such a win-win. It's just amazing. And I want to thank you so much for being on. We have only 3 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to mention before we go off the air? And again, we will put those links we mentioned up at the top.
I just want, I thank you for that. And thank you for this opportunity. I want to share that, I'm a prideful resident of Dana Point, called an expat from San Francisco about a decade ago. But in addition to being a beautiful weather, beautiful beach town, et cetera, whenever one tries to do a public art exhibition, there's lots of opinions, lots of positions, and Dana Point has been a marvelous, marvelous host in supporting and cooperating. And we look to have Dana Point be an outdoor venue for future exhibitions. Who knows? Maybe it'll be whales, maybe it'll be dolphins. But to bring people out in the open and to engage people, multi-generations of people, in a friendly, inspiring, educational way, I think that's really part of the heartbeat of Dana Point. So thank you again.
Yes, and I just want to remind people that California Dreaming is going on right now. The location is Dana Point. It's from October 8th till November 26th. Sounds like you got a long time, but it's really kind of only like a month left, right? A month and a few days left to get down there, but a great opportunity and a great holiday kind of little trip to take with your family that I'm going to nudge my husband to take me on.
All right. We'll look forward to seeing you.
I would love to see you there, Dana, and good luck with the exhibition. And please come on again. We'd love to have you on again. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for watching. Yes, we love you, everyone out there. Sending love to you, and thanks for watching. May you live in peace. Bye-bye now.